This year has been a little slow for anime. I think that's something we can all agree on, despite the fact that it might pick up pretty soon. However, it definitely makes me think back to last year and how amazing it was with so many powerhouse shows mashed into each season. But there was one that really stood out to me. One that I was certain would become a modern classic. Megalobox. But first, a huge thank you to Viz for sponsoring this video. Just a heads up, the Blu-ray for Megalobox is now available for purchase on their website. They were awesome enough to send me my very own limited edition box set. 1 second, I gotta pop this bad boy open. Oh, look how gorgeous that is. Oh, it looks so good. The limited edition set even comes with this neat little booklet and a ton of other special features only available on the Blu-ray set. So if you want your very own copy, I'll have a link in the description where you can purchase your own. So what makes a classic? No, not that. Classics are made from one of two ways. First, and the most common, they innovate a completely original idea. Movies like Citizen Kane are considered classics because they more or less created composed shots with foregrounds, midgrounds, and backgrounds. The second way a classic is made is through a mastery of a certain style or idea. For instance, whereas Citizen Kane created composing shots, Wes Anderson's Grand Budapest Hotel is a mastery of composing shots. Both of them are widely considered classics. But then again, it's art, it's subjective, and debating these sorts of things in any real form is one hell of an uphill battle. But in that sense of the definition, it's no debate. Megalobox is a classic. The show is a mastery of sports drama, and I just really want to gush about how it takes everything that made original sports anime so good and improves on them while also even innovating in some spots. So let's start by talking about where the show takes inspiration from, and honestly, that's very easy. Ashita no Joe, Hajime no Ippo, and even a little bit from Cowboy Bebop. Obviously, the first two were landmarks for boxing anime, and heck, even sports anime in general. A lot of the character traits are pulled from these shows, including even Ashita no Joe's name in Gearless Joe, the protagonist of Megalobox. You can also definitely see some of Cowboy Bebop's inspiration in the show as well, with its futuristic westerner feel, with this pseudo-steampunk style technology being the main aesthetic of the show. Speaking of which, the art style of this show is something truly incredible. It has this hand-drawn look that really makes it feel like it's been pulled straight out of the 90s. But one of the things that differs it from its predecessors are the fight sequences. The show is not afraid of altering its art style if it informs the narrative, and nowhere is that more obvious than these fight sequences. Megalobox really goes out of its way to make these fights look truly incredible. They turn into these mesmerizing circuses of blood and sweat and metal gears turning. You can feel the power behind each punch through not only the visuals, but also the sound design. Which, oh man, there's just so much right with this show. The sound design in general is something I'm not qualified to talk about, but I'm at the very least going to praise it for everything. I mean, the soundtrack in particular is probably my favorite to come out of 2018. They have these synth-heavy songs mixed into beats that turn them into these anthems. They're just there before and during every fight, and it just makes you so incredibly hyped. It's just exhilarating and fits the show's aesthetic design flawlessly. Speaking of which, I've just noticed that I've gone this far without talking about the narrative, which is, surprise surprise, incredible as well. The show follows an unnamed protagonist who later picks up the name Joe as he enters into a form of boxing called Megaloboxing. Basically, boxing with the assistance of machines on your back to give you a little more punch. So his goal is to win Megalonia after getting involved deep with the mafia and owing them a ton of money. The only thing is, you have to be selected to compete. So in order to build a name for himself, he fights without any gear, dubbing him Gearless Joe. The show follows Joe as he continuously fights stronger and stronger opponents, with the hopes of fighting Yuri in the finals. What's amazing is the build-up before each of Joe's fights. Often he already has a ton of odds stacked against him fighting without gear, but usually other events will occur to him that put him at even more of a disadvantage, until it seems almost completely hopeless. Yet, when Joe enters the ring, he always manages to find a way to pull off the victory. Each fight is incredible to watch because one loss would be all it took to end everything for Joe. Every fight has so much on the line that you can't help but be completely invested. Every part of Megalobox is fine-tuned. The show is truly a mastery of the sports drama, taking inspiration from its roots in Hajime no Ippo and Ashito no Joe, but never letting the tropes completely run how the show is handled. I mean, after all, the ending is surprisingly melancholic, which is atypical for a sports anime. Megalobox is still its own anime when it's all said and done. It's unique and knows when to step away from its roots, but also when to lean into them, which separates it from any sort of remakes. Megalobox is absolutely a modern classic. Thank you guys so much for watching, and once again, a huge thank you to Viz for sponsoring this video. Like I said, if you love this anime as much as I do, I highly recommend you guys get the Blu-ray. I'll have a link in the description where you can buy your very own. I'm sorry, I'm just in love with this box art so much. A huge thank you to my patrons, you guys are my heroes. Speaking of which, if you're interested in joining our editing live streams, hopping into our exclusive Discord, or simply supporting the channel, feel free to join me on Patreon. Make sure you guys share, like, comment, and subscribe. This is Manime Matt. Make sure you guys stay man and go watch that goddamned anime.